And welcome to another episode of Experts Speak. I'm Michael DeLon, and today I'm talking with Alan Lazaros. And well, first of all, Alan, thank you for being my guest today.
You are so very welcome. I like that you're bringing the energy. I will try to match it.
That's great, buddy. Good luck. Hey, Alan is he's the CEO of Next Level University, and he and his co-founder, they help business owners, people get to that next level, break through some of the mental barriers in life and health and business, you name it, they can help you. And it's going to be a great conversation because, as my audience knows, Alan, I love talking about all kinds of things like this to live life to the fullest. And I think that's what you help people do. So tell me, as we dive into this conversation, Alan, how in the world did you get doing what you're doing today?
The most loaded question there is. So there's the short version and there's a long version. I'm going to give you the middle.
There you go.
The middle version.
Awesome.
So I started out with a lot of adversity in the beginning of my life. So my father passed away when I was 2 years old in a car accident.
Wow.
And so I started into some adversity and some hardship for sure. From age 3 to 14, I had a stepfather. That's actually why my last name is Lazaros. I'm the only non-Greek Lazarus there is, because my real last name is actually McCorkle.
There you go.
So I took my stepfather's name. And my stepfather left my family when we were 14. And when my stepfather left, I had to really have a tough look at my life. And before that, I had a dream to go to WPI. It's a college called Worcester Polytechnic Institute. Okay. I was really good at math and science, not nearly as good at reading and writing. And I wanted to be an engineer. And so I had two sort of life paths. It was going to be lawyer, politician, president, or it was going to be engineer, master's in business, CEO of a Fortune 50 company like my hero, Steve Jobs. And those were kind of the two paths. And again, a lot of this is hindsight, but that was kind of the idea. And so I wanted to go to this college called WPI, Worcester Polytechnic Institute. It's kind of like a mini MIT. And I didn't know how I was going to go because when my stepdad left, he had a lot of the income.
Okay.
And so I had to get financial aid. So I went from fairly well off, sort of upper middle class prior to the dot-com bubble to my stepdad leaving, and I got free lunch at school because of how low our income was.
Right.
And so I had to reevaluate and go, how am I going to do this? Fortunately, we had equal opportunity. I worked really hard. I got all these awards behind me if you're on video. Mm-hmm. And I got the President's Award, straight A's in high school, work, scholarship, and financial aid, fortunately, as well. So I got to go to my dream school. Fast forward, I get my engineering degree. I stay for my MBA. I'm on my way to Fortune 50 CEO of a tech company like my hero, Steve Jobs. And I am 26 years old. I'm working for a company called Cognex. I did a lot of job hopping. And I'm a 1% earner globally by that time. And I have this big investment account, and I'm making almost $200,000 a year at this stage as an industrial automation engineer for a company called Cognex. I used to sell manufacturing equipment into manufacturing facilities all across New England. Okay. And Cognex is machine vision. So think of the eyes of a robot. It's cameras going down a line. You check the water bottles to make sure they're all optimal. There's software and all that.
Interesting.
So I am 26 years old. I'm up in New Hampshire, and I'm with my little cousin. And we're not drinking. We're not partying. We're not doing anything crazy. And I told you this would be the middle version, so I'll go quicker here. But essentially, I end up, it's a dark winter night, and I end up on the wrong side of the road. I was supposed to yield, but I didn't. The snowbanks were covering the signs.
Right.
And I end up on the wrong side of the road, double yellow, and there's these big lights in front of me. And I thought it was a Mack truck. So I thought that was it. Fortunately, I was driving a 2004 Volkswagen Passat, which I used to call a tank. It's a really steel-trap, German-engineered car. And fortunately, we were okay because it was not a Mack truck. It was a lift-kitted pickup truck, and the car was totaled, but both airbags did deploy. Me and my cousin were okay. And honestly, after that, I was sitting in an armchair drinking whiskey, and I was just questioning my entire existence. And the reason why is because I'm 26 at the time, and my father passed away when he was 28 in a car accident when I was 2 years old.
Wow.
So for me, that was okay. That really could have been it. It wasn't one of those. So my little cousin, he was fine. He was like tweeting about it. But I was messed up mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Right. I was okay physically, so was he, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, I was like, that really could have been it.
Yeah.
and the car was totaled. This was not a fender bender. So then I went all in on personal development. I went all in on, instead of selling industrial automation equipment, which does take jobs, I actually created a company where we help people re-equip themselves for jobs for the future.
Unpack that. Re-equip themselves for jobs for the future.
Okay, so I was electrical and computer engineer and at a top tech school. So AI, robotics, all this stuff is coming, whether we like it or not.
Right. Yeah.
Many, many, many jobs will be automated and or delegated to robotics, both consumer and manufacturing. And I think that people who need jobs the most sometimes are the least informed.
Yeah.
And I used to sell automation equipment that literally, I'll give you an example. There was an ice cream company, very famous one, I'm not supposed to say necessarily.
Right.
And I'd be in there and they'd be checking the ice cream containers, quality assurance, and I would sell equipment that would take those jobs.
Wow.
And I'd make a lot of money as a young sales engineer. Engineers are very sought after.
Right.
But those people need jobs. And so instead of taking jobs by selling industrial automation equipment, which, by the way, I'm not hating on industrial automation. We need to do that one way or another. It's going to happen whether we like it or not. But instead of that, I decided, you know what? Let me start a company. It was called Alan Lazaros LLC at the time. It's evolved into Next Level University. But let me, instead of taking jobs, let me help people equip themselves to have a bright future. And so when you said to unpack that, what I mean is a lot of people have passions, but they don't understand that those passions are no longer relevant. So for example, farming. Okay, back in the early 20th century, farming was a really marketable skill. You could make a lot of money doing it.
Right.
You could have your own farm and blah, blah, blah. Now you can make a lot of money farming if it's big conglomerate farming, but I have one friend who's a computer programmer and he's really good at Android development. He makes way more money than everyone else. And the reason why is because he has one skill that's really, 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 really needed. Right. And so it saddens me to see people go to school for something that is no longer needed. And so I try to help people make good decisions for the future, not just from the past.
That's great. Oh, I love that. And thanks for that extrapolation of that, because that really helped, because so many times we get stuck. Right. I mean, you got a degree in engineering. It's easy for people to have that degree and say, I am an engineer. Mm-hmm. And if that job goes away, now I don't know what to do. Right. And what you help them do, if I'm tracking with you, right, is to understand the emotional, mental aspects of all of that and to reprogram, dare I say, what they're thinking and how they're looking at themselves, their life, their future, and going, oh no, you've got all kinds of opportunities, but do I believe that? And for them to get away from, as I say, don't buy the lie. Don't buy the lies that are whispering in your head, because they're probably not true. Am I close?
Yes, definitely. So shifting your identity into a new role where your behavior follows, where you'll have a brighter future.
Yeah.
And a lot of our identity is caught up from beliefs we had in the past. And so for me, the car accident shook up my snow globe, what I thought of myself, what I thought of my past, what I thought of my future. I reinvented myself. Yeah. And for a lot of people, COVID was a time to reinvent themselves. Oh, yeah. And so that's what I do. That's what Next Level University is how do you reinvent yourself for the future, learning from the past, but not staying stuck in it, to your point.
Yeah, no, that's great. I've got a three phrase thing that I tell myself. They all start with L's, right? I learn from the past. Yeah. I live in the present, and I lead into the future. Nice. And I think that's really where people they need help, because Alan, nobody teaches this stuff.
I know. So that was my Alan Lazaros LLC tagline was, what you'll never learn in school, but desperately, in all caps, need to know. Yeah. Oh, I think that's so good. All right. So let's unpack then, I guess, what types of, what is the person struggling with before they reach out to you? Directionless, lost, nihilistic. So nihilistic is hopelessness. It's lack of fulfillment. It's lack of direction. It's lack of clarity. And they know they're lost, but they don't know why. And when they find Next Level, a lot of our listeners, so we're coming up on our 7th year in business. Next Level University, we've got 1,500 episodes. At this stage, I've coached so many people. I've done 4,700. I'm coming up on 4,700 hour-long coaching sessions, and I always go over, so it's actually more than that. But these are all individuals from all different walks of life all over the world. I'm not talking from a place of like anecdotes. I'm talking from real people in the real world that I've coached one-on-one for 4,700 hours plus.
Mhm.
Okay, so at the beginning, we didn't know our listeners. We didn't understand. We didn't get it. Now we've studied. Our listeners come to us when they're in the dark. They come to us when they're lost and they don't know why they're lost. And this is the quote that I used after my car accident. And it's relevant just as much today as it was then, which is, you can't see the stars during the day. They're always there, but sometimes it takes the darkness to see clearly that which you could not within the light. My desktop background has a big mountain and it has a True North star at the top of it. And I always wear this True North necklace with a North Star on it. And it's to remind me that car accident for me was such a dark time that I saw a North Star I had never seen before. Two actually. One was Tony Robbins' TED Talk. If you've never, again, regardless of whether or not you like Tony, the TED Talk is amazing. The TED Talk is amazing. Number two is a book by a woman named Bronnie Ware called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. Now, I almost get in a car accident. My father passes away in a car accident when I was young. And I find this book, The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying, while I'm stewing in regret. I made poor choices. I really did. I made poor choices. And we all do. But who is willing to sit there and face those things? So the number one regret of the dying is I wish I had lived a life true to myself and not what others expected of me. Bronnie Ware worked in hospice with the terminally ill, and she found these patterns, these same regrets. So the long-winded answer to your question is our listeners find us when they're in the dark and they're feeling regret, but they don't really know what to do next.
Yeah. That is so. So I was at a Bible study this morning, men's Bible study, right? And I'm sitting next to this one guy and we're talking about different things. And he said, yeah, I struggle with that. And the question was really, what happens when adversity comes and suffering comes? How do you respond? And they gave us 4 or 5 answers. And he's like, that one. And I looked at him, it was like depression and anxiety. And he said, that's how I respond, but I don't know how to change it. And I think that's what you're saying, is that there are a lot of people who get there. The darkness is closing in. They don't either know to look up and see the stars, or they look up, but they can't make sense of the stars. And they're directionless. They are hopeless, not because they're bad or dumb or stupid. It's just nobody's coming alongside of them. And the thing that I get from you, Alan, is you've lived it. You're authentic. You're sharing that, I made some dumb choices,
Definitely.
I will walk with you. And you've got some programs, some frameworks that work, obviously, after 4,700 hours of talking with people, to take somebody from that dark spot, wherever it is, whether it's health or finances or whatever, and get them to a place where they can see that North Star for them, whatever it may be for them, help them mentally get there and go, now let's pursue that. Is that kind of the journey?
What I've found, I appreciate the articulation. What I've found fascinating is people come to me and they think they want to achieve XYZ goal. What I've found, I use a mall kiosk as an example. So imagine you walk into the mall and there's a kiosk of what store? You're on the first floor in the Apple store. You think you want to go to the Apple store, and the Apple store is on the 4th floor on the other side of the mall. And there's an arrow that says you are here. What I do in my coaching is they come to me and they say, I want to go to the Apple store. I have to say, listen, you think you want to go to the Apple store, you actually want to go to the Microsoft store, or vice versa.
Right.
It's the arrow that says you are here. You're actually not. You're actually over here. Self-awareness. And by the way, the escalator's out and the elevator's out. So you got to learn how to walk up these stairs. And really it's what do you really want? How do you actually get there? And most importantly, actually, is where are you now? That's the self-awareness piece. Where are you now? So you plug in your GPS and address. If you have the wrong address or the wrong location of where you are now, you're never going to get there. And then there's detours along the way. And so at the end of the day, all I'm really doing is helping people see themselves, other people, and the world more accurately, typically when it comes to how it works and why it works. So I'll go really slow on this. Who you are, how you work, and why you work. Self-awareness, number one, by far the most important. Number two, other people. How do other people work? Psychology, neuroscience, behavior change, understanding the cognitive biases, nuances. And then the third is how and why the economy works the way it works, how the world works, why it works that way. And those are the sciences typically. You got mathematics, physics. I always think of it as like a pyramid. Mathematics on the bottom, then you've got physics. So mathematics is the study of the universe. Physics is the study of the physical universe. Then you've got chemistry, which is the study of matter. Then you've got biology, which is the study of living organisms. Then you've got physiology, which is the study of the human body. Then you've got psychology, which is neuroscience, actually, which is the study of the brain. And then you have psychology, which is the study of the human condition. To me, if you understand all of those, even though no one really understands all of those, you basically are just learning all of those as you go. Yeah. I'm 35, about to be. I know way more than I did at 30, but not as much as I'm going to know at 40.
Absolutely.
And so you have to study yourself, study the world, study life, study other people. And eventually you start to figure out, okay, I can make this, and this choice, this, and this tweak, and I can put myself in a better probability of success in the future. And knowing the whole time that you're going to face adversities and things aren't going to work out perfectly, but at least this way you're in control of your own future to a greater extent than just wandering around aimlessly. Because ultimately, I think that's the thing. If you feel like you're wandering around aimlessly, like I've felt in the past, you're just in so much trouble. And that's why we have mentors and we have books and we have podcasts, because we're trying to at least find direction, and hopefully we're marching in a direction that's more positive.
Yeah. That's so good. So much there. Just, if you're listening to this, just stop and go back and rewind about 5 minutes and re-listen to that, because there's so much there that needs to be unpacked. We just don't have time for it right now. I was talking to this guy today at the Bible study because I think it addresses here. You're going back to your car accident, right? So my dad was killed in a motorcycle accident back in 1987. So I was 21, something like that. And that changed how I look at all of life.
Definitely.
And I'm convinced now that things happen to us.
Mm-hmm.
They're not good or bad. They are. And it's how I perceive them, how I deal with them, and what am I taking from them that impacts how I deal with that, but how it really impacts my future. Am I dragging the baggage around, or am I using it as a springboard? Is that, do you find people? Okay.
Yeah, 100%. It's two people. I wrote a blog about this recently. Two people can go through the same adversity, and one of them creates a bigger, brighter future, learns from it and springs toward it, to your point, and someone else stays stuck.
Yeah.
And the difference is perception and behavior.
Yeah.
It's how you perceive it and what you do about it. Yeah. And underneath that is belief systems and core values and core aspirations. And it really becomes this rabbit's nest of what, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's all of that. And I think the thing I want people to hear, and I would assume you're telling people this too, is I have control of that because it's my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I have
way more than you think. Yeah.
Oh, way more than you think. And I fought it for a long time because all the NLP stuff and everything just felt so Eastern religion to me. And I'm a follower of Christ. And I'm like, no. Until recently, when it was like the light bulb came on, I'm like, no, man, God made my brain. He made it that way. I need to use it, harness it. And dude, things are different now. But I've got control of my thinking, my emotions, my actions. I can choose differently. We just don't, because we need somebody like Alan to walk with us. Is that fair?
I would say what keeps jumping off the page, and this is something that I wish I was told when I was younger. Taking responsibility might be one of the most important, if not the most important thing when it comes to your own life, because I had a really, 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 really bad childhood. There were some good things, but in hindsight, when you're a kid, you don't know any different. But later on, you look back and you're like, oh, that's really not good. And there were some good things, so I'll say that. But at the end of the day, it was worse than I thought, for sure. if I take responsibility for my own future, regardless, like it's not my fault that I was born in that circumstance. It's not my fault my dad died when I was 2, but it is my responsibility to find a way to make a good life out of that.
Right.
And I think that core belief is why I've ended up in a positive place, even though I had a really negative start.
Right. Right. And for people who are listening, you need to put yourself, you need to take responsibility to put yourself around the type of people that you want to be. Because I find myself when I'm in a dark spot, I used to want to stay in a dark spot. And I wanted to surround myself with naysayers because they made me feel good. No. I'm putting myself purposely with people who are way more successful than me, better, because that's where I want to be. And that's what you've kind of built with the university, right? Unpack that a little bit about Next Level University.
2 things, Next Level University. So the idea is simple. No matter how hard your past has been, you have a bright future if you choose a brighter future. And there is a next level for you. Health, wealth, and love. There's a next level for you. Whatever that next level is, we will help you achieve it. But at the end of the day, NLU, this is kind of the thing. I used to say the most important thing is who you surround yourself with. There's 3 things now that I kind of understand after studying so many people and coaching so many people and doing my own therapy, all this stuff. Number 1, self-belief. If you have self-belief, and by the way, people who don't, they kind of know they don't, but they don't really know. And by the way, people who have low self-belief act like they have high self-belief. So it gets us all messed up. Remember, a lot of times it's the person who appears the most confident who's actually got the lowest self-belief.
Right.
So interesting. And so number 1 is self-belief. If you have high self-belief, you will take adversity and turn it into your advantage. That's just what I've found. Okay. If you don't, you've got to get around people with high self-belief. So that's number 2. Get around the right people. People who you might not like, and they might make you insecure. That's why you don't like them. They make you insecure, but they want to see you win because they're winners. And I don't mean winner in any sort of one category. I mean winner holistically, virtuous, wanting to see you flourish, fly like an eagle. Okay. And then the 3rd piece is self-worth. This I didn't understand. I had high self-belief and very low self-worth. It wasn't until I use Harry Potter as an analogy because every movie, every book, every story that's powerful is a victim who gets hurt by a villain, who the victim transforms into a hero to fight against the villain and then eventually becomes the guide. So Harry Potter, Dumbledore's the guide. Harry Potter's the hero when he turns 11 years old. He was a victim. Parents were killed. Voldemort's the villain. Okay. And for non-Harry Potter people, I apologize, but this is a very famous thing. So at the end, I always say Harry never became the guide until the very last book where he broke the Elder Wand and threw it away.
Yeah.
That's when he went from I believe in myself and I'm going to be the hero to I don't actually need this wand. I'm good enough as I am.
Yeah.
And Ron was like, whoa, no. That's the Elder Wand.
Yeah.
You keep that, right? Because he's still a hero, not a guide. And that's okay. We're all on that journey. You can't start off as Dumbledore, right?
Right.
So, and we all need to guide each other. And so that's, I'm a 35-year-old guide to many, but I'm also being guided by many. And I think that's really important to remember.
It is really important to remember. And that's just a snippet of what you're going to experience when you put yourself around Alan and everything, not only what he's created, but the people that you're going to rub arms with and interact with, and you're going to realize you're not alone. And I think that's one of the lies that we believe, Alan, is I'm the only one going through this.
Yeah.
Don't buy the lie. Yeah. And reach out for help. And a great place to go is Next Level University. You've heard just a snippet here, but you're hearing it from a guy who's been there, who's not, the thing I appreciate about you, Alan, is you come across different. You're not trying to sell a program or come join my mastermind. I mean, you guys do podcasts that are free. People can listen to it. You've got groups, you've got free training on your website. You've been there. You really have this genuine nature to go, I've been there. I've helped lots of people. I can help you. Where are you? Let's figure that out first. and then let's take this process because your future can be brighter. Dude, where do people go to get that next step, to find out more about you and all that you've got going on?
So the main place that you can go, we have 22 departments. We have a 21-person team, I think, as of yesterday. It's growing like crazy. I'm very, very, very grateful, because at the beginning it was just Kevin and I trying to figure it out. So the compound effect of positive choices definitely accumulates, which is wildly overwhelming, but also awesome. nextleveluniverse.com. Remember, it's not Next Level University. It's nextleveluniverse.com. Everything we do is on there. We have a book club. We do monthly meetups every month. We have a free podcast every single day. We call it Self-Improvement in Your Pocket every day from anywhere on the planet, completely free. If I had Next Level University when I was a kid, I mean, my goodness, just a mentor in your pocket every day and a coach in your pocket every day. That's really the idea. And we do a bunch of different stuff. We have a charity. Just check it out, nextleveluniverse.com. Whoever has nextleveluniversity.com was someone who is charging way too much. And so we decided to say nextleveluniverse.com, and that person is trying to take us for a ride.
I love it though, because going back to what we talked about earlier, when you're in that dark spot, where do you look, Alan, to find that star? You're looking in the universe.
Yeah.
To help you get the next level universe. And
it's a universe, meaning it's all of Next Level stuff, not just Next Level University, which is only one part of the business model. So thank you for that. Yeah, I appreciate it. I feel very seen right now.
It's awesome. Wow, thank you. we're gonna grab that and make sure everything's in the show notes, because entrepreneurs are busy, they're doing things, but I want to make sure everything's in the show notes to be able to reach out to Alan. Nextleveluniverse.com is the place to go. Wow, go back and re-listen to this, because there was so much in this episode that you really need to listen to 3 or 4 times just to let it start sinking in. Go check out their podcast, Put a Coach in Your Pocket. I love what you guys are doing, Alan. Thank you, brother. Thank you for what you are doing, for showing up authentically and just sharing on my podcast. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope it's okay that I call you Mike.
Absolutely.
Mike? Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for having me. Genuinely awesome questions. And thank you for inspiring others to create better lives, because that's how we change the world. You know, all of us, if we all sweep our own porch, the whole world will be cleaner.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. All right, Alan, thank you. Thanks for listening to Experts Speak. Tune in again for another great episode coming up. Take care. God bless.
Talk soon.